Good evening, everyone. The Hong Kong International Airport is a key infrastructure that we always take pride in. But very sadly, it was paralyzed for 2 days in a row because of the reckless and irresponsible acts by some radical protesters. Since yesterday afternoon, thousands of protesters flooded into the main terminal of the airport. What began as a sit-in protest gradually became confrontational and violent as protesters unlawfully blocked departure gates and prevented passengers boarding their planes. Then it quickly escalated to intense violence, with some innocent visitors being intimidated, humiliated, and unlawfully detained by some radical protesters. What's worse, they even took justice into their own hands and harshly attacked some innocent visitors. I'm sure all Hong Kong citizens will not turn a blind eye to such violence. The police strongly condemn the violent and reckless acts and pledge to investigate fully into all incidents. There are two particular incidents that can be likened to torture, as two visitors were held captive and harshly wounded by a large group of radical protesters. In the first instance, a mainland visitor was choked and assaulted with his hands and legs bound with cable ties. He appeared semi-conscious as protesters poured water on him and displayed his belonging on the floor. In the second instance, another visitor, who turned out to be a reporter from the mainland, also received similar suffering. He was also publicly shamed and insulted and unlawfully detained for a long time. What worse, when paramedics were trying to approach the injured visitors, on both occasions, they were blocked by the protesters. During the violence clash, the airport authority requested assistance from the police in extricating the injured and encircled visitor. Therefore, our officers were summoned to the scene. Then a large number of protesters were surrounding and attacking police officers and vehicles. Some were even pointing laser beams at a negotiation cadre officer who was trying to defuse the situation and help extricate the injured visitors. They were causing a chaotic scene, threatening the safety of everyone on site. In order to contain the situation and counter the violence, our officers used pepper spray to subdue some of the radical protesters. In one flashpoint, tens of protesters cornered a police officer, snatched his baton and pepper spray, and started beating him. When the officer's life was under great danger, to protect himself and other people from death and serious bodily harm, he drew his revolver and held it up. It's a measure of defense of emergency and necessity. I would like here to emphasize that our officer exercised great restraint when he was holding up the revolver, and as the protesters retreat, he immediately put back the revolver and other officers came to his aid. The police arrest 5 males aged between 17 and 28 years old. They were arrested for unlawful assembly. 2 of the males were also arrested for assaulting a police officer and possession of offensive weapon. All these offences were committed in the Terminal 1 of the airport.